Details this morning on the deaths of Fast and Furious star Paul Walker and his friend killed in a fiery car accident.
He was the face of speed on screen. Brian O'Connor, the undercover cop who raced into pop culture with the Fast and the Furious. But when Paul Walker died in a tragic car crash in 2013, the world lost more than just a movie star. What came next was something no one expected. Behind the fame, behind the movies, hidden away from cameras, was something deeply personal. Paul Walker's private garage, a collection of over 30 rare, exotic, and sometimes illegal cars. But inside those cars were things no one was prepared to find. Handwritten notes, secret charity plans, unfinished builds, and a legacy no one had fully seen until now. But before we move on, make sure to subscribe to our channel for more reveals like this. This is what they found when they opened the doors to Paul Walker's garage, and why it changed everything. To the world, Paul Walker was Hollywood's ultimate car guy. The blonde-haired, easygoing undercover cop from the Fast and the Furious franchise. Cool behind the wheel, effortlessly charming, a symbol of speed, youth, and adrenaline. But what most people didn't realize was, Paul wasn't acting. Off-screen, he was the real deal. Not a celebrity pretending to love cars, but a genuine enthusiast, a builder, a tinkerer, a man who could talk camshafts and gear ratios with race engineers just as easily as he could memorize lines on set. His passion wasn't for show. He didn't just drive fast cars, he lived them. He studied them, tuned them, rebuilt them from the frame up with his own hands. He was just as comfortable under a lift, elbows deep in grease, as he was on a movie set under the lights. And he kept most of it to himself. Paul never flaunted his car collection. He didn't give garage tours on social media or show off his latest builds on YouTube. He didn't have to. His connection to cars was personal, intimate even. His garage in Valencia, California wasn't designed to impress. It wasn't a celebrity showroom lined with luxury for the sake of luxury. It was a working shop, a functional, gritty, sacred space filled with tools, parts, and the scent of oil and rubber. Very few people even knew it existed. But after Paul's tragic death in 2013, that garage, once locked tight and hidden from the world, was finally opened. And what they found inside wasn't just a high-value collection of rare vehicles. It was something deeper. It was a mirror of Paul's soul, laid bare in steel frames, carbon fiber bodies, and grease-stained notes taped to dashboards. This wasn't a showroom. It was a story, one he never got to finish. The machines. Inside Paul Walker's private garage were more than 30 ultra-rare vehicles, each one a story on wheels. Some were worth millions. Others were so unique, they were practically priceless. And a few? They weren't even legally allowed on U.S. roads. Among the most eye-catching was a fleet of 5 1995 BMW M3 lightweights, also known as the E36M 3LTW. These weren't just rare, they were legendary. BMW built fewer than 130 of them for the U.S. market, stripped down for racing, with aluminum doors, no air conditioning, and factory-installed performance parts. Owning one is impressive. Owning 5? That's unheard of. Then there was the Saleen S7, a mid-engine American hypercar built almost entirely from carbon fiber. With a 7.0-liter V8 and over 550 horsepower in the naturally aspirated version, and more than 750 in the twin-turbo, the S7 could reach 60 miles per hour in under 3 seconds. It wasn't just fast, it was brutal, raw, and rare. Parked nearby were several Porsche 911s from different eras, along with a pair of Ford GTs, supercharged V8 machines that pay tribute to Le Mans-winning heritage. And of course, a 1994 Toyota Super Turbo, modified and subtly referencing the car that helped make him a legend in the Fast and the Furious. But the crown jewels of the collection? Paul's JDM imports, especially the Nissan Skyline GTRs, including both R32 and R34 generations. He didn't just import them, he personalized them. Racing clutches, suspension upgrades, aftermarket turbos, custom ECU tuning, and on some, his own handwritten notes and tuning logs. One midnight purple R34 GTR V-Spec 2 Noir, a special edition of one of Japan's most iconic cars, was rumored to be the very one used in the film franchise. It had never been shown publicly, not registered, not for sale. It wasn't a trophy, it was a memory, untouched, unshared, and deeply personal. The hidden complexity. But this wasn't a simple garage. It was a legal puzzle. Most of the cars weren't even in Paul's name. They were owned through a company he co-founded, Always Evolving, a high-performance tuning shop that doubled as a legal shell. It gave him privacy, tax protection, and it kept his name off the paperwork. After his death, that caused chaos. Who owned what? His family, the company, creditors? Some titles were missing, some were split, and some cars were tied to charity auctions Paul had planned, but never got to carry out. This wasn't a resale asset. It was a piece of history he was determined to preserve. But the most moving discovery came from another GTR. Written in blue ink on a small sticky note, probably placed there quietly without fanfare, were the words, "This one's for Meadow. She'll drive it one day." That single sentence carried the weight of a father's hope. His daughter Meadow Walker was just 15 when he passed, and even in death he had left behind a message just for her. A vision of the future he wanted for her, one tied to the very thing he loved most. These weren't just cars, they were Paul's memories sealed in steel, and his legacy scribbled in ink. The projects left behind. Not every car was complete. Some were stripped down, mid-restoration, tools still on the floor, wiring half-run, checklists written in Sharpie taped to dashboards. To outsiders, they looked like junk. To Paul's friends, they were sacred. He wasn't just a collector, he was a builder. He spent hours in the garage with grease on his hands, losing track of time, soldering wires, or adjusting suspension. One car, a Datsun 240Z, was likely his next daily driver. Another, a Boss 302 Mustang, was tagged for a future charity gala that never happened. These weren't props. These were Paul's unfinished chapters. Among the most emotional finds were tags marked with ROW, short for Reach Out Worldwide, the nonprofit disaster relief organization Paul founded. He had plans to auction off some of his most valuable cars to fund emergency relief missions. Quiet generosity, cars turned into lifelines. Paul didn't just live for speed, he used his passion to help others. Even in death, he was trying to give. The legacy. Eventually, 21 cars were sold at auction, raising over $2.3 million. But not all were let go. Some stayed with the family, others were quietly handed off to people who knew what they meant. For his daughter Meadow, walking through the garage was like stepping into her father's world. One note, one build, one unfinished dream at a time. Because Paul Walker's garage wasn't just filled with cars. It was filled with him, his passion, his plans, his purpose. And what they found inside wasn't just shocking, it was unforgettable. Paul Walker wasn't pretending to love cars. He was a car guy, through and through, quiet, focused, hands-on. He didn't build a garage for show, he built it for the love of the machine and the people he could help with it. That's what they found behind those garage doors. And that is what makes his legacy immortal. This video is a heartfelt tribute to one of the most legendary actors and racers of all time, Paul Walker. We hope we've done justice to his legacy, his passion, and the impact he left behind.